Hey there guys, Kieran here with another review from the Scene to Screen podcast. This time around I'm reviewing Blockers, which in case you didn't know is a brand new comedy directed by Ike Barinholtz and starring John Cena, Leslie Mann, Ike Barinholtz, Catherine Newton, Geraldine Viswanathan and Gideon Adlon. And here's a quick synopsis of the film. Julie, Kayla and Sam have been best friends for years, and in an attempt to reach adulthood, they each decide that they'll lose their virginities on prom night. Unfortunately for them, their overprotective parents find out and do everything possible to stop the girls from sealing the deal. Okay, so before I get into this review, I want to talk about my expectations, and I'll admit that after watching the trailers and seeing some of the marketing, I wasn't really expecting much walking into the cinema. At best, I kind of expected a throwaway, stupid comedy, but surprisingly, this is a really funny, heartfelt film that not only delivers the laughs that we've come to expect, but it has an important message, a few important messages, and that's really where I want to start with this review. One of the things that I enjoyed most about Blockers was the way that director Ike Barinholtz balanced the ridiculous comedy with the more serious moments and the deeper messages within the film. Without spoiling too much, I'll say that Blockers touches on various aspects of being a teenager, from your first sexual experience to the rocky relationship between parents and children, and then stuff like homosexuality and kind of discovering who you are as you enter adulthood. And the film does a great job of blending those important messages with the comedy, and it never feels too heavy-handed or in your face. It's there and it's noticeable, but it doesn't get in the way of the comedy, and I think it is a kind of realistic portrayal of what a lot of teenagers, both male and female, go through at that age. And it was cool how we were shown female teenagers who were talking about sex, drinking alcohol, doing drugs, without it really being a big deal. Nothing negative happens because they talk about sex or smoke a joint. And it's something that you don't realise is missing within a genre until you see it happen on the screen and you kind of notice, oh, I've never seen this kind of thing before. So it was really refreshing within the comedy genre just to see three female actors, doing what male actors have done in countless films like Superbad. Obviously, this being a comedy, the most important question you'll have will be, is it funny? And thankfully, the answer to that question is easy because Blockers will have you laughing from the opening few minutes until the very end. Comedy is easily one of my favourite genres, and I can safely say that this is one of the funniest films I've seen in a while. I don't even remember the last time I laughed that much in a theatre. And one of the things I loved about the comedy was that it wasn't always stupid gags or throwaway jokes. I mean, the film had a few moments like that, but overall, I'd say that the comedy here is pretty smart, and a lot of the funniest moments in the film come naturally from the characters and different interactions between different characters. And that leads me on to the cast, and I'll admit that I really wasn't expecting much from this cast, just because I'm not too familiar with a lot of their work, especially the younger cast members. I did see John Cena in Trainwreck, and I thought he was okay. There wasn't really anything in that performance that made me think he was a great comedic actor. I have seen Leslie Mann in a few different things, and she's usually really good, but I've never really seen her lead a big comedy like this. And then Ike Barinholtz is an actor that I'd only seen in Bad Neighbours, and he was funny there, but I don't really like those films. And then he had a tiny role in Suicide Squad, so I saw him in there. As for the younger actors, I was unfamiliar with most of their work, although Catherine Newton was recently in Lady Bird, and she popped up in an episode or two of Supernatural, so I'd seen her in there. But this was the first kind of big role that I'd seen her in, so yeah, overall I'd say that I wasn't really going into this film with high expectations from the cast. But I've got to say that every single actor gave 100%, and I really don't think this film would be nearly as funny if it didn't have this cast. John Cena is hilarious, and he really stretches his giant comedic legs here. And really, he led a lot of the more comedic sequences between the parents. Leslie Mann was also really good, and she kind of nailed the neurotic and crazy mum. And then I was really surprised by Ike Barinholtz. Like I said, I hadn't seen him in much at all, but he really stole the show and stepped out as a great comedy actor in this film. As for the younger cast members, I think this is probably where the film is at its strongest. These young actors do a great job of putting teenage life on display, and each one of them brings something unique to their characters, and I'd say that they really held their own against some of the more recognisable names in this film. You'll probably walk in expecting the parents to be the funniest side of Blockers, but these actors do such a good job and are so funny that you'll probably walk out happier with that side of the story. If you've listened to any of my previous reviews, you'll know that I like to not only talk about the things I really liked or the things I really hated. To give the best kind of review, I like to give you a full understanding of what worked and what didn't. So to talk about something that I didn't like so much about Blockers, I'd say that the film does occasionally delve into some familiar territory. As with a lot of comedies, there are certain moments or scenes that feel familiar, and you can kind of guess where the story's gonna go. And there were a few moments where the story kind of jumped into the realms of unbelievability, where what was happening on screen didn't really feel like it could happen in real life. But those are only two very small issues for this film, and honestly, there were only one or two moments where I was kind of like, oh, I kind of know where this is taking us. And overall, I was really impressed and surprised by Blockers. Kieran has managed to give us a comedy that isn't only laugh out loud hilarious, but surprisingly heartfelt and progressive as well. To give Blockers a score out of 10, I'm gonna go with an 8, just because, like I said, I had a really good time with this movie, and I only had a few small issues with what was on the screen. So yeah, an 8 from me, and I guess that's it for this review. Thanks for listening to the Scene to Screen podcast, and I've got to ask you now to please like this video, share it on all social media. It really helps us to know if you're liking what we're giving you. You can also check out the podcast on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Stitcher, so head over to your favourite platform and subscribe. And just to leave you with a question, what did you think of Blockers? Be sure to let us know in the comment section below. Again, thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next episode.